Hey guys, so this is going to be a quick video talking about stamps. I've had a lot of people ask me, especially people who are new to my channel and maybe just started stamping in their planners or are even new to crafting and project life, ask me for tips on things including embossing, stamping, and other things. So I know there's videos out there that talk about stamping and all of that, but I wanted to make my own and talk about my own experience for you guys. And I wanted to also keep these videos sweet and simple so I don't ramble on too much. But for this video I'm going to talk about the 3 types of stamps that there are. There is photopolymer, there is rubber, and there is acrylic. Now, for most of us stampers who've been stamping for a while, we know about all of this, but if you're just beginning, you're not going to really know about all this. And I remember when I first started stamping, and I walked into a little local craft store, and they were like, I saw all these stamps and all this stuff, and I was so overwhelmed by everything. And I remember I started off using rubber stamps. Rubber stamps, you can tell right away because they're like red rubber and they give a great impression. But I don't buy as much rubber stamps anymore unless I absolutely love the stamp, just because it takes up a lot of room in my craft area. I'm more inclined to use photopolymer stamps. Now, photopolymer stamps are high quality stamps. That means that they're going to be more expensive than acrylic stamps, and they're going to give you a better impression overall. Acrylic stamps, and I'm using a set from Michaels to use as an example, they tend to be cheaper because they're made cheap out of a cheaper material. Now, you can still use these and have them work, but they're just not as good quality as these. These hold up better, these tend to break down easier, and you can usually tell a difference because right away these have a specific smell to them. Also, these, when you try to pull them off the backing, they usually have a harder time coming off. Heidi Swapp stamps that you also see in Michaels are also made out of acrylic. Now, I tend to prefer to buy photopolymer stamps in general because I feel like a stamp is an investment. It's something you're going to have in your stash for a long time, and if you wanted to resell it, you could resell it for the original value, and they just sell better. So, I mean, in general, mostly I don't really sell many of my stamps because I'm obsessed with stamps, so I'm a collector of stamps. But yeah, I personally love photopolymer, and I also do love rubber stamps. I just don't buy quite as many. Now, Michaels also carries these type of wood mounted stamps, and when you hear wood mounted, it's because it's mounted on a block of wood. And I'm also going to talk about mounting stamps. These are not rubber. I don't know what they're made out of, but they're not rubber. It's some sort of other material. I'm not sure what it is. If you guys know what it is, be sure to leave it in the comments below. But it's just, you can tell the difference. So yeah, I'm also going to talk about what you need to use photopolymer stamps if you plan on using them, and different inks I recommend for those of you getting started. So these are basically acrylic blocks. Whenever you're going to use any type of stamp that looks like that does not come pre-mounted, you're gonna need some sort of tool to put it on. Now, I have seen people use even like a piece of like see-through plastic, but these acrylic blocks tend to be very inexpensive in your craft stores online. They don't usually cost very much. I believe this costs like $10. This one might be a little bit more, but you can use a coupon if you get one like this. This is a stamp press, so that means it sits on these little orange nubs, and then you gently press it down. I really like this kind of one, even though this one's a bit big. Martha Stewart sells one that's a bit smaller if you don't want to use a big one. The only good thing about this is you can use larger background stamps on this if you plan on having larger ones. If you don't, then you could go with the smaller one, and that would be fine as well. I actually own several different sizes of acrylic blocks, and if you watch my videos, you pretty much know that. This is another type of acrylic block. It has a grid. The good thing about the grids that you have on these blocks is it makes it a little easier to line up your stamps. So if you want to do a straight stamp, you're going to be able to see it. And that's another plus with these type of stamps. Because they're see-through, you can see exactly where you're stamping and how you're stamping. So you're definitely going to want to get an acrylic block for stamping every day if you plan on doing more stamping in your planners, your project life, or anything like that. This was the Martha Stewart one I was just talking about. It's a lot smaller, as you can see, in comparison, and it also has the little nubs where you push down just like that. And so we're gonna get into stamping, and yeah. So right now I'm I'm just taking the stamp off the sheet, and you're going to notice, even though I have this time lapse, that I struggle just a tad bit pulling it off, but that's to be expected. Just don't like tear it by pulling too hard, but pull with force. And right now I'm prepping my stamp using the bottom of an eraser. Stamp prepping really helps to remove the residue that comes with the stamps when you first buy them, the first time you use them. And with acrylic stamps, I find that it helps you get a better impression every time. Not all acrylic stamps necessarily don't stamp as well without doing this, but I just have found that I get a better impression and that the ink sticks better with that. This is a spray that I use to clean off my stamps after I prep them. It's the Hero Arts Ultra Clean. I don't know why I can't speak when I make these videos. And I just put it on the baby wipe and I cleaned it off. You don't always need to put the Ultra Clean, only when you use specific inks that stain. But it's just a great ink and it just moisturizes the stamp, so it keeps it nice. Now I'm just working with some white cardstock. I'm using the Simon Says dye ink again. I believe it is dye ink. And the dye ink, I don't know why, it just does not stamp. I don't know, I don't love the color that it comes out. It's so light you can barely see it, but I decided to just leave it in the video anyhow so you guys could just see a comparison of the inks. Then I'm using the Memento ink, which is also a dye ink, and I love the Memento inks. They're such a good price, and you can get several of them by buying the dewdrop sizes that they come in, and most local craft stores do carry these, as well as online craft stores, so I love those. And for some reason in this video, ironically enough, the acrylic stamps seem to come out even better than all the other stamps I was using, but I promise usually that's not always the case. Just ironic. This is the VersaFine ink you guys generally see me using all the time, and I did prep that ahead of time, the stamp. And that is also a pigment ink, but it's oil-based, and it's supposed to be an ink that's really good for getting fine detail. So when you have stamps that are thin or fine detail, that's the perfect ink to use with them. And I find that Versamark usually always leaves me a good impression, which is why I tend to use it a lot. And yeah, that's like pretty much one of my favorite inks right now. And then the ink that is like the violet ink next to that, that is a pigment ink. And you guys also saw me use that earlier. Pigment inks are for embossing, but I'm not going to get into all of that. For right now, I would definitely recommend for a newbie to pick up some Memento inks because they're affordable, especially if you're just getting into stamping and don't know how often you will do it, and they work great. So I'm just going to continue to stamp this out and give you guys like a little preview of how things stamp. This is the rubber stamp, and I'm using the pigment ink. Pigment inks usually stamp really well, I find. You usually get a full impression. I will be doing a separate video on what else you can use pigment inks for, because they're really cool. Not only can you stamp with them, but you can also do really fun techniques with them. And like I said, I know a lot of you guys may already know how to do those, but I'm really doing this for my subscribers who have asked me to do this type of video because I appreciate you guys and I want you to fully be able to understand everything. So I feel like this is really going to give you a more basic understanding of stamping in general. I did all three in the different colors that I had, except for the Memento. For the butterfly, so you could just see how it looks with the dye ink and with the pigment and the Versamark. And then I used my photopolymer and I used it with a Memento, and for some reason I didn't quite apply enough pressure when stamping it, so I kept getting these gaps, and usually that does not happen at all. So like I said, it's probably because I'm filming this video. You want to apply even pressure and make sure that you're not pressing too hard so you don't kind of like make it come out kind of messy, but you want to apply enough even pressure that you don't miss any spots. And I kept missing spots, I don't know, somehow. I think it's because I was filming. Thankfully with these clear stamps you can go right back over if you line it up and go back and get to places where you missed. So it's not like the end of the world if you do, but usually you get a pretty good impression. So you guys have basically just saw me stamp all of these images, and you have a basic idea of what stamping is now, I would hope. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And then I just thought for fun I would create a background using that one stamp set using some more dye inks, and these are from Hero Arts as well as Memento. And then one of them is from Studio Calico, which is going to be the light purple that I use. Which that's why it doesn't come out, for some reason it doesn't come out quite as clear, and that's because the Studio Calico inks don't work very well with acrylic stamps, I've found. So that's the one drawback to them, but that's what you have Memento for, and I still really loved how this card came out. And this just shows you how versatile stamps really are. You can use them for so many things and to make custom cards. And right here I just created basically a custom project life card. that you could use in your planner or in your photo album. So I really love how it came out. I love Care Bears. I still do as an adult. So yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. And I hope that if you have any questions, please leave them down below. I'll have links to the stores I shop at, as well as my social medias. And thank you so much for watching.